She unexpectedly dozed off against her billionaire boss. What he revealed next was life-changing. The conference room hummed with energy, a slick world of polished wood and glass, buzzing with ambition. Emily couldn't help but feel out of place, her heart racing. Here she was, a waitress from a local diner, surrounded by executives in tailored suits discussing stocks and profits. After a frantic lunch shift serving a wild crowd of office workers, fatigue overwhelmed her, and her eyelids began to droop against the table. As she drifted into slumber, the chatter faded into a low thrum. The aroma of strong coffee hung in the air, mingling with the faint scent of polished wood. In her mind, she could hear the laughing chatter of her children, the cozy chaos of home life, the joyful sounds of their Saturday pancake breakfasts. "Miss, are you all right?" A voice pulled her back. Emily blinked, realizing everyone was staring. Alex Thompson, the billionaire behind the powerful corporation, stood before her, eyes sharp yet oddly compassionate. Instead of anger, there was curiosity in his gaze. "Why don't you take a break? You seem exhausted." The murmurs of the other executives barely registered as Emily felt her face flush with embarrassment. But rather than dismissing her, Alex leaned in, surprisingly earnest. He shared his own story, revealing the weight of expectations that chained him to a life dictated by wealth. "People see this," he gestured around, "but they don't see the loneliness that comes with it. I've always longed for genuine connections." Tears prickled at the corners of Emily's eyes, moved by the honesty he laid bare. "I just want a stable life for my kids," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I dream of starting a non-profit to help families like mine." A moment of silence stretched between them, raw and charged. In that quiet space, the barriers of their disparate worlds began to blur. Two souls driven by dreams, yet weighed down by their battles. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Emily shared her struggles, the specter of a rival company began looming over her nonprofit dream, a potent threat that could undermine everything she worked for. The energy shifted. She felt the tightening of panic clenching her chest. Would her hopes be dashed just as they began to take flight? "I want to help." Alex's fervent voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. "Let us partner on this." Emily hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at her. Here was a man with wealth and influence, but could she truly trust him? She stood poised at the edge of a cliff, doubt mingling with the shimmer of possibility. What would this partnership mean for her mission? Could she allow someone from such a life of privilege to step into her world, a world she fought fiercely to protect? As she looked into his eyes, she found a flicker of something genuine. But just below the hopeful surface lay questions that threatened to drown her spirit. "Will you walk this path with me?" His voice hung in the air, charged with urgency and hope, leaving Emily with a choice that could alter the course of her life. Would she take the leap, trusting that some dreams are worth the risk? Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing as she weighed the gravity of Alex's proposal. The world around them faded, loud voices becoming mere whispers in her ears. Could she really trust him? His words felt heavy yet hopeful, but the fear gnawed at her stomach like a freezing wind. "Partnership," she whispered, the word rolling off her tongue like a promise she wanted to fulfill but fought against. Yes, she wanted to help families in need, but what if he only saw her as a charity project? The little voice inside her head went wild with thoughts. What if he pulled out once things got tough? What if he belittled her dreams, or worse, turned everything she believed into another corporate profit machine? Alex seemed to sense her hesitation. "Emily, I know this is all new and unexpected. But I see something in you. You have passion, vision. There's a purity in your drive. His blue eyes sparkled with earnestness, as if he were trying to bridge the vast gap of their worlds. I want to help you protect that. We can do this together. Emily's brow furrowed as she fought to keep her emotions at bay. There was something undeniably genuine in his tone, a sincerity that shifted her perspective even the slightest. Could a billionaire truly want to help someone like her? A brief moment passed, filled with the warmth of connection and mutual understanding. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, "What would this mean for us?" "For my vision? It means I'll invest in your nonprofit. We'll work to get the funding you need, but it's more than just money," he replied, his voice unwavering. "It's about bringing awareness to the issues people face every day. You have a story that can touch hearts, and I want to amplify that." As she listened to him, the flickering hope inside her began to steady itself. Perhaps this could be the anchor she needed. The moment she had been fighting for, the chance to take her vision into the light. Emily's heart softened and drifted at the thought. The chaos of her life, her kids, the long hours serving coffee, the dreams she silenced for years, it all rushed back like a flood. "Okay," she said, steeling her voice. "I'll consider it." But even as she spoke, another thought pressed against her mind: how it would change her life forever. Would she lose herself in the shadows of this new partnership? "Consider it a start," Alex replied, a gentle smile spreading across his face. It felt warm and real, briefly chasing away her uncertainty. But even as the light of possibility flickered above her, doubt loomed large. Was this potential partnership merely an escape from her reality? As they parted ways that day, her heart ached with anticipation. Emily left the conference room feeling a mix of exhilaration and fear. Could they really create something worthwhile together? And just as she reached for the door, Alex called after her. "Emily." She turned, her breath catching. "I believe in your dream," he said, his voice steady. "No matter the challenges, don't let anyone tell you it's too big." With that, he opened a door she could hardly fathom. And as she stepped into the world outside, a fresh breeze rushed in, igniting the embers of her dream. For the first time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she could change the narrative, not only for herself but for countless others waiting for their own chance. But as she stared ahead, questions crowded her mind. Was she really ready for this journey into the unknown? Would she be strong enough to face the storms that might come? Emily didn't have the answers yet, but she could feel the tides shifting. Little did she know, an unexpected challenge was just around the corner that would test her resolve. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains of Emily's small apartment, casting patterns on her cluttered kitchen table. She rubbed her eyes, still reeling from the previous day's conversation. Thoughts of Alex's proposal danced in her mind. It felt surreal, like waking up in an alternate reality where dreams could transform into plans. As she brewed her morning coffee, the strong aroma wrapped around her like an embrace, pushing away the lingering doubts. She flipped through her notes, scribbled thoughts evolving into action items. This was her moment to define the future she had desired for so long. Yet, an unsettling ache persisted, doubt creeping back in like an uninvited guest. What if she couldn't live up to the potential he saw? With a determined shake of her head, Emily made her way to the nonprofit office, the energy in her step a stark contrast to the heavy uncertainties weighing on her shoulders. Each block she walked felt like a step closer to her dreams, yet the worried voice in her mind grew louder. She opened the door to her space, bustling with creativity. The walls were adorned with mission statements and images of families they had helped, reminders of why she had started this journey in the first place. However, she barely settled into her chair when her phone buzzed. It was a message from Alex, a simple "Hey, ready to tackle some plans together?" It sparked a warmth in her heart mixed with exhilaration. But the twinge of apprehension hung on. The thought of sharing her deepest dreams with someone like him was daunting. As she drafted a response, she let herself imagine what that partnership could look like. The colors of her vision bloomed in her mind, events filled with laughter, families supported, community programs thriving. She took a deep breath and focused, allowing herself to dream without reservation. The day rolled on, punctuated by phone calls and meetings that spoke to the necessity of her work, yet each interaction left her feeling as if something important was waiting to be unveiled. As afternoon slipped into evening, she received a phone call just as she was about to pack up for the day. It was Alex asking if they could meet to discuss their vision for the nonprofit. "Sure, when?" she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "How about right now?" Panic flickered within her, but she pushed it down. Why should she hesitate? Alex's unwavering faith roared like a beacon in her mind, guiding her forward. Within minutes, they were sitting in a nearby cafe, the clinking of cups and soft hum of conversation surrounding them. Emily could feel the weight of possibility in the air as they mapped out ideas on napkins, their shared excitement infecting the space. Each proposal flipped her nervousness into anticipation, igniting her passion like kindling to a fire. But just as they dove deep into brainstorming ways to promote her cause, a shadow crossed Alex's face. "Emily," he began, his gaze serious. "There's something I need to tell you, something that might change everything." Her heart raced. What could be so significant that it hung on the threshold of everything they had envisioned? She leaned in, breath held, unsure whether to feel fear or hope. "After careful consideration, I'm willing to invest in more than just funding. I want to be a part of this mission alongside you, fully involved." But before he could finish, Emily's heart soared and plummeted simultaneously. What did that mean for her independence? The stakes felt impossibly high now, a balance of ambition and vulnerability hanging in the air. And just as doubts began to swirl again, Alex leaned in closer, whispering the rest of his revelation, suggesting a deeper partnership, one beyond funding or just dreams. Emily's mind raced as she processed his words. Could she accept such a profound connection and still retain her vision? Suddenly, the bustling cafe muted, everything outside their bubble fading away. She was caught between electrifying possibilities and the fear of losing herself. "Would you be ready for that?" he asked. Breaking her silence, and just like that, a storm brewed inside her heart. Was she willing to accept not just the journey ahead, but the profound transformations that came with trusting him completely? As she stared into his expectant gaze, everything hinged on her next words. Emily's breath hung heavy in the air, mixing with the scent of fresh coffee and pastries. The cafe felt alive, yet time stood still for her. She could feel Alex's intense gaze boring into her, waiting for her to respond. Her heart thundered in her chest, a chaotic symphony of anxiety and excitement. "Are you sure about this?" she finally whispered, searching his eyes for any signs of doubt. She needed to know if he truly believed in this partnership or if it was just another fleeting whim. Alex nodded, his expression steady. "I see a vision for us that goes beyond what you initially imagined. Together, we can create something powerful. I want to be your partner in every sense." His words were almost intoxicating, flooding her mind with images of their combined efforts: a thriving organization, lives transformed, the community bustling with activity. Yet, in the same breath, a sense of dread gripped her heart. Could she really hand over a part of herself to someone else? "What if we can't make it work?" she asked, the honesty of her fear forcing its way to the surface. "What if it all falls apart and I lose what I fought so hard to build?" Alex reached out, his fingertips brushing against hers on the table. "Emily, I have faith in us. But this will only work if you allow yourself to trust me. It's a leap, but leaps can lead to great heights." His thumb stroked her hand gently, grounding her amidst the whirlwind of thoughts. Emily closed her eyes briefly, reveling in the warmth of his touch, trying to drown out the doubts. Yet what he asked of her felt monumental. She envisioned the countless sacrifices, her late nights, the struggles she faced alone, the sweat and tears that had molded her passion into reality. "Trusting someone isn't easy for me," she admitted, her voice quaking as it spilled out. "I've always been independent, and even though the idea of having someone by my side is tempting, it's scary, Alex. I get it, he answered softly, a hint of understanding in his tone. But think of the potential. The lives we could change together far outweighs anything we could do alone. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the way he practically radiated confidence. In that moment, doubt flickered like a candle, battling against a growing flame of hope. What if he was right? Taking a deep breath, she searched within herself. Okay, she said slowly, let's try it together. But I need to set boundaries. I can't lose sight of my vision. The determined fire in Emily's voice ignited something within them both. Alex smiled a small, triumphant smile that caused her heart to race. Of course. It's your vision, Emily. I'm here to support it every step of the way. We're a team. His words washed over her like a comforting wave, easing her fears. There was power in partnership, and perhaps she could allow someone to share in her journey without losing her identity. As they began to sketch out their next moves, laughter and chatter faded back into focus. The cafe resumed its lively rhythm, and Emily felt like she was stepping into a dance, her step syncing with Alex's vision for their nonprofit. But just as hope swelled within her, her phone pinged a message that pulled her back to reality. She glanced at the screen, and her smile faltered. It was from a former colleague, someone she hadn't spoken to in years. The message was short but jarring. Heard about your plans with Alex. You need to watch your back. Her heart sank as icy fingers of apprehension snaked around her. Why would someone send something like that? Could there really be a hidden threat lurking in the shadows of this new partnership? Before she could process it all, Alex was speaking again, his voice steady and melodic. Emily, let's talk about outreach. I think we could really make an impact by. With the message still fresh in her mind, Emily forced a smile, yet every word he spoke began to blur into the background. She couldn't let this uncertainty ruin what had just begun, but doubt clawed at her consciousness, determined to disrupt her newfound ambition. What did her ex-colleague know that she didn't? And if there was danger ahead, how deep did it run? As she looked back into Alex's eyes, the moment felt fragile, like a bubble about to burst. She needed to confront whatever this was, but how could she talk to him about it without shattering their trust? The elusive balance of hope and fear twisted within her, ready to spur a spiral of unexpected revelations. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, a shadow passed overhead, and Emily's pulse quickened, her instincts tingling. Putting aside her worries long enough to make this work, she finally whispered her own worries aloud. Alex, I think there is something you need to know. Emily felt the weight of her revelation hang in the air, a fragile tension between them. She desperately wanted to shield Alex from anything that could disrupt their budding partnership, yet the message twisted in her mind like a coiling serpent. It felt wrong to keep secrets at such an early stage. Emily? Alex's voice pulled her back, laced with concern. What is it? You seem distant. Taking a deep breath, she tried to summon the courage within her. I got a message from a former colleague. They warned me to watch my back. About us. Surprise crossed Alex's features, followed by an expression she couldn't quite read. Was it disbelief? Or something darker? A warning? What did they say exactly? She cringed at how weak her voice sounded when she replied, just that I need to be careful, that I should watch out for those who might not have our best interests at heart. He leaned forward, brows knitted together, assessing her. Do you think they were serious? Or just trying to spook you? That was the question lingering at the tip of her tongue. Could it be nothing more than reckless speculation? Or did they know something that she didn't? I don't know, but it's made me feel uneasy. There's so much at stake, Alex. His expression softened. Hey, look at me. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. But I need you to feel safe and secure. If there's a potential threat, we need to address it. She nodded, comforted even as trepidation pooled in her stomach. We just started to build something together. I don't want this to derail our plans. It won tea. He took her hand in both of his, the warmth bolstering her courage. Let us be proactive. We can reach out to your contact, see what they know. If there's any danger, we'll get ahead of it. That speech sent a wave of relief through her, yet the lurking worry persisted. They had just linked their futures. The idea of someone potentially sabotaging that filled her with anxiety. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate your support. As they discussed next steps, the atmosphere shifted back to a more positive vibe. They brainstormed ideas for outreach, their conversation lively and filled with momentum. Yet, even as she spoke about community events and fundraising, her mind flickered back to her colleague's words. Who would want to come after them? Minutes passed, the cafe buzzing around them, yet she was engulfed in her thoughts like a veil. Every burst of laughter and clinking coffee cups felt like a reminder of the shadows creeping in. Just then, her phone chimed again, jolting her from the fog of negativity. She glanced at the screen, heart sinking as she saw the name. It was the same colleague. Another message. Are you ignoring my warning? You're making a mistake trusting him. Her pulse thundered as apprehension surged. Alex, she blurted out, her voice shaking as she turned the screen towards him. His eyes widened as he read the message. Emily, he began slowly, concern etched into every feature. We need to take this seriously. She felt the ground shift beneath her. Could this really be more than a simple warning? What did this person know that they didn't? But Alex shook his head, frustration igniting in his expression. Let us not jump to conclusions. If we're cautious and keep our eyes open, we can handle whatever comes. We'll prove whoever this is wrong. His conviction sent a spark of hope through her, yet fear continued to gnaw at her insides. What if things were already beyond their control? As they moved to discuss strategies for handling potential threats, her heart beat heavily with uncertainty. Was their nascent partnership already under siege? With trust and clarity on the line, she needed to fortify herself against what lay ahead. But just as they were about to set a plan into motion, a shadow fell across their table again, disrupting their focus. Emily looked up to face a tall figure, an unfamiliar man with a piercing gaze that sent an involuntary chill down her spine. Excuse me, Emily? He said, his voice smooth yet laced with an unsettling edge. We need to talk about Alex. Her heart raced. What could this stranger possibly want? And how was he connected to what had just begun? Panic rose within her as Alex shifted beside her, protective instinct flaring to life. The atmosphere instantly thickened, shifting into something darker and charged. Is this about our project? Alex demanded, a steely resolve in his tone. The man's smirk was anything but reassuring. Oh, it's much more than that. We need to have a serious conversation, now. Emily's breath quickened, and the shadows of doubt grew, threatening to consume her optimism. What waited on the other side of this unexpected moment? As she exchanged bewildered glances with Alex, the tension ratcheted up. Was this the beginning of a long battle, or the end of something before it truly began? Emily's heart hammered in her chest, the stranger's words wrapping around her like a vice. She stole a glance at Alex, whose eyes narrowed as he faced the man. The cafe buzzed with chatter around them, but the world felt strangely muted, as if they were suspended in a bubble of impending confrontation. What do you want? Alex's voice was low and steady, but Emily could hear the underlying tension. The man leaned closer, the smirk fading slightly. You're not as cautious as you should be, are you? I'm here to help, but you have to listen. There are forces at play that you don't understand. Emily's stomach twisted. Help? Or a warning? It confused her. Who was this man, and how was he involved? I don't need your help, Alex replied, crossing his arms defensively. Think of this as a friendly intervention, the man continued, ignoring Alex's bravado. "Emily, trust me when I say that there are people who may misuse your ambitions. They want you to fail." Emily shifted uncomfortably in her seat. The cafe around them faded into a blur of faces. The warmth of Alex's hand slipped away, and an icy dread took its place. "What do you mean?" she barely whispered, leaning forward against the table, pulling the man's gaze to her. "The people you're getting involved with in this project, there are strings attached. This isn't just about community service. It's bigger. Don't you see? They can't be trusted." Alex leaned closer, the muscles in his jaw tightening. "We're not going to listen to someone who hides in shadows and gives vague threats." "Vague?" The stranger's eyebrows shot up. "You call this vague? I'm telling you, there are eyes everywhere. You think you're safe, but the day will come when you'll wish you had listened." Emily's mind raced. Shadows. Eyes. This all felt like a plot from a thriller, not her life. Yet the knot in her stomach warned her that it might be all too real. She cleared her throat, trying to project confidence. "If you believe that, then what do you suggest we do?" A moment passed, the man measuring her with an unsettling intensity. "Get involved in the right circles. Move away from your current connections. There's more than meets the eye. Trust me, I know." "What's your name?" Alex asked, unflinching. The man hesitated before responding. "You'll know soon enough." The enigmatic reply hung in the air. Emily felt a chill creeping up her spine. This was surreal, yet part of her couldn't shake the feeling that the warning was grounded in truth. Before she could voice her concerns, the stranger straightened up. "Look, I can't stay longer. Just remember what I said. You're in deep waters. Keep your heads above them." With that, he turned and left as abruptly as he arrived, the cafe door swinging closed behind him. Emily blinked, trying to process the encounter. The moment felt like a storm cloud rolling in, dark and menacing. She could sense Alex's irritation radiating from his tension, his pulse quickening as he spoke. "Do you think he knows something? Is it worth investigating?" "I don't know," Emily admitted, her voice trembling. "But a part of me feels like we can't ignore him, no matter how strange it sounded." Alex took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. "We need to be careful. If this is more than just a hunch, it could complicate everything." "Everything is already complicated," she replied, frustration bubbling to the surface. "How can we find out who's really behind this?" Just then, Emily's phone buzzed again. She winced, almost afraid to look. But when she did, her breath caught in her throat. Another message from her former colleague, this one felt more threatening than before. "Stop digging into things you shouldn't, Emily, before it's too late." The blood drained from Emily's face. What had she gotten herself into? Alex grabbed her hand again, but this time it felt colder, the reality of their situation daunting. "We need to act, Emily. For both our sakes." The shadows lurking around her felt heavier now. With every beat of her heart, the stakes seemed to rise and twist into a web of uncertainty. "Stay close," she whispered to Alex, almost pleading. The din of the cafe swirled around them uncontrollably. With a new urgency, they knew their next steps could shift everything. Could they really trust anyone, even each other, in a situation that was spiraling out of control? As Emily stared into Alex's determined gaze, she wondered, would they be able to uncover the truth before the looming threat turned into reality? Emily couldn't shake the chill that had settled deep in her bones. The cafe, once a cozy refuge filled with laughter and the smell of fresh coffee, now felt like a cage. She looked at Alex, his brow furrowed and body tense, and wondered how far they were willing to go. "Do you think this is all just a bluff?" Alex asked, his voice hushed but urgent. "I mean, who even was that guy?" "I don't know. Emily gripped the table's edge as if it could anchor her to reality. But something about him feels real. Like he knows something we don't. Her phone buzzed again, but this time it was a different number. Hesitantly, she swiped to open the message. It was from one of her classmates involved in the project. Meet me at Thompson S, 7 p.m. Trust me. It's important. Who is that from? Alex leaned in, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. Just something from a classmate, she replied quickly, trying to downplay the rush of adrenaline coursing through her. But, should I go? He hesitated, and in that moment, Emily could see the gears turning in his mind. We should definitely check it out. But we go together. I'm not letting you walk into anything alone after that guy. Okay, she nodded, heart pounding. Let us get out of here. As they walked down the street, the city buzzed around them, oblivious to the storm brewing in their own lives. The sun hung low, casting long shadows that danced underfoot. Emily felt a mix of dread and excitement. This was not just about school projects anymore, it felt like they were entangled in something much larger. When they arrived at Thompson S, a small bar nestled between two higher-end restaurants, the faint sound of laughter and clinking glasses drifted out into the evening air. Emily pushed open the door, the warmth greeting them like an embrace. Inside, she spotted her classmate, Jamie, sitting at a corner table, eyes darting toward the door every few seconds. Taking a deep breath, they approached. "Thanks for coming," Jamie said as they took their seats. There was an edge in her voice that sent alarm bells ringing in Emily's mind. "I didn't know how else to reach you." Alex leaned back, crossing his arms. "What's this about? Is someone threatening you too?" Jamie nodded, her voice dropping to a whisper. "It's about the project. There are some people, very influential people, who want to take control of it. They don't like the direction we're going, and I think they see you two as obstacles." "Obstacles?" Emily repeated, the knot in her stomach tightening. "What do you mean?" "They believe you're meddling where you shouldn't," Jamie hurried on, darting glances toward the entrance as if expecting someone to burst in. "And they're not the kind of people you can just walk away from. I've heard talk. They can be dangerous." Alex's face hardened. "What do you know? Who's behind this?" "I don't have names, but I've seen them at meetings. I got a warning too, and I took it seriously. You both should." Jamie's hands trembled slightly as she spoke, making the reality of their situation sink deeper into Emily's psyche. Her heart thundered in her chest. She looked at Alex, whose eyes were ablaze with determination. "We need to take this seriously," he said. "Whatever's happening runs deeper than we thought." Just then, Emily's phone vibrated again. This time, it was a number she didn't recognize. Her heart skipped as she opened it. "Meet me at the old factory by the waterfront. 11 p.m. If you want the truth, come alone." Panic surged within her. What if it's another trap? "Either way, we can't ignore it," Alex replied firmly. "This is connected, and we can't walk away now." As they sat there, the weight of their decisions hung heavy in the air. The shadows that had been lurking felt closer now. Understanding flashed between them, a silent agreement that they were in this together. "Are you ready for this?" Alex asked, his gaze piercing into hers, a mix of fear and resolve. Emily felt a fire ignite within her. "Ready. But I'll need you with me." The tension in the room thickened, and they both understood that the path ahead could change everything. As they left Thompson S, the night's darkness loomed, but so did a flicker of hope. What awaited them in the shadows? The only certainty was that they could no longer turn back. Whatever the truth was, it was waiting to unravel, and they were about to dive headfirst into the storm. Would they emerge on the other side unscathed, or would they discover something that shattered their world completely? The streets felt alive under the blanket of night, every sound vibrating with unseen tension. Emily's pulse raced as they headed toward the waterfront. Shadows twisted around them, but she clung tightly to the resolve that had taken root in her chest. Alex's presence beside her was both comforting and electrifying. Together, they were a unit forged by fear and determination. "This is crazy," she whispered, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. "What are we even doing?" "We're seeking answers," Alex replied, his voice steady. "No more running. We need to confront whatever is out there." His grip on her shoulder lingered, grounding her momentarily. As they neared the old factory, its silhouette loomed ahead, a decrepit reminder of a forgotten time. The metal structure was slick with rust, the broken windows glinting eerily under the moonlight. Emily swallowed hard, feeling the weight of every eerie creak and moan of the building as it stood like a sleeping beast waiting to awaken. "Keep your phone on," Alex instructed, pulling out his own. "If anything happens." His voice trailed off, but both knew the stakes were high. She nodded, forcing herself to breathe through the rising anxiety. They stepped inside. The air was stale, and the space was filled with the ghosts of past workers whose labors echoed through time. The dim light from a flickering overhead bulb barely lit the area, and Emily found herself stepping closer to Alex, seeking the comfort of his proximity. "Are you sure this is the right place?" she asked, straining her ears for any sound that could signal they weren't alone. "Yeah. This is it," he replied, scanning the corners. "Just hang tight." Seconds turned into minutes, and Emily's heart sank with every second of uncertainty. Had they been set up for something terrible? Just as she was about to voice her concerns, a figure stepped out from the shadows. "Emily, Alex," the figure called, voice low and gravelly. It was the same man who had visited them at the cafe, the one with piercing eyes that seemed to know too much. Heat flushed through Emily, a mix of anger and fear. "Why are you following us?" she demanded, taking a step forward despite her instinct to retreat. "What do you want?" The man studied them both, a strange smile crossing his lips. "I'm here to help. But you must understand, time is not on your side. You're in way over your heads." "Help us?" Alex repeated, skepticism lacing his tone. "Why should we trust you?" "Because I'm the only one who can show you the truth," he replied simply, taking a step closer. "What's happening is larger than you can imagine. And if you want to save your project and your lives, you need to listen carefully. Tonight is just the beginning." Emily's heart raced at the prospect of what was to come. She felt lost in a whirlwind, but the threads of curiosity began weaving through her fear. Could it be true? They were facing something beyond their control, and yet, behind every piece of chaos was a chance to understand more about themselves and each other. "What truth?" she asked, desperation creeping into her voice. She yearned to know, but the stakes felt higher than ever. The man shifted his gaze to the yonder, a heaviness clouding his expression. "It's connected to the project. The people after you, their influence runs deep. Follow me, and I'll explain everything." As he turned to lead them further into the darkness, Emily glanced at Alex, a torrent of emotions swirling between them. They had crossed a line, and there was no turning back. Were they ready to dive deeper down this rabbit hole? As they followed the mysterious figure, something inside her whispered that the revelations they were about to uncover would challenge everything they thought they knew. What was waiting for them ahead, and could they really handle the truth when it came crashing down? The man moved deeper into the factory, his footsteps echoing against the cold concrete floor. Emily felt a chill creep up her spine. The air grew thicker with uncertainty, each step almost a protest against their decision to follow him. Alex kept pace with her, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Are you sure about this?" he whispered, barely loud enough to hear over the sound of their footsteps. "We're not backing out now," Emily whispered back, though doubt clutched at her heart. "We need to know what is going on." They walked into a wider space, illuminated by a faint glow coming from an old projector that flickered in the far corner. The man motioned for them to sit on some rusted metal chairs that held the weight of history in their creaks and groans. Emily sat down, the chill of the steel biting through her layers, while Alex took the chair beside her, his shoulder brushing against hers, a silent promise of solidarity. The man grasped a dusty remote from a nearby table and pointed it at the projector. A beam of light burst forth, casting a series of images on the wall. Each slide seemed to tell a story, but it was all jumbled faded documents, blueprints for buildings that looked like their project, and aerial views of places Emily recognized from school project maps. "This," he began, his voice dropping low again, "is where everything began." He clicked to the next slide, revealing a stark diagram of the factory and surrounding land, a web of lines and arrows connecting various points, all tying back to their project. Emily squinted, trying to make sense of it all. "What does this have to do with us?" she demanded, her voice stronger than she felt. "Why are we pulled into this?" The man sighed, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. "You don't realize how deep this goes, do you? Your project is involved in something much bigger. There are forces at play that want to keep this under wraps." Emily's mind raced as thoughts collided. They'd been so focused on their project, on impressing their professors and winning funding. But what if it was just the tip of the iceberg? "What do you mean forces?" Alex asked, prompting the man to continue. "People who would do anything to protect their interests. You've stumbled into their territory, unwittingly exposing secrets that could shift the balance of power in this city." His gaze was sharp, and Emily felt the weight of his words settle in her gut. "We're just students," she protested, but doubt churned inside her. They weren't just navigating university life anymore. The projector clicked again, revealing a photo of a group of sharply dressed individuals at a gala, smiles plastered on their faces, but their eyes held shadows of greed. "This is the board behind your funding. They don't play games. They will come after you to silence what you know." The suffocating tension wrapped around them, and Emily's breath hitched. She exchanged a quick glance with Alex, the reality of their situation crashing down like a tidal wave. They weren't just risking their project, their lives could be on the line. "So what do we do?" she asked, her voice climbing up an octave, filled with fear and courage all at once. "First, you need to understand what you're dealing with," he replied, leaning closer. "There's a piece to this puzzle that you have. It's critical for what's coming next." Emily took in his words, felt the tremor of importance reverberating through her. "What is it? What are we supposed to find?" she pressed, her heart pounding with urgency. He hesitated for a moment, his expression shifting as he studied them. "The answer lies within your project. But once you uncover it, you won't be able to walk away. Are you ready for that?" The air around them felt electric, heavy with the weight of decision. Would their curiosity lead them into darkness or towards a truth they couldn't ignore? Emily inhaled deeply, the flicker of determination rekindling in her chest. "We're in, we have to know." But as the room plunged into silence, a flicker of doubt clouded her resolve. What awaited them when they stepped deeper into the truth? And, when the moment of revelation arrived, would they be ready to face it head-on? The old factory was heavy with silence now, a stark contrast to the buzzing energy outside. Emily glanced at Alex, the resolve in his eyes igniting a warm fire within her. They both knew this path held dangers, a tangled web of motives and threats. But more than anything, it was a path toward clarity. "What's the artifact we need to find?" Emily asked, her voice steady, betraying none of the trepidation swirling in her heart. The enigmatic man remained calm, holding their gaze as if weighing their worthiness. "The project, its core values and its purpose are the artifact. Dig deeper into its foundations. Uncover who really benefits from its success." Alex looked puzzled. "What exactly do you mean? Are you saying the funding is a front?" "It's more complicated than that," he replied slowly, pacing as he spoke. "I think you've already sensed that your project holds more importance than just helping families. You have a bigger role to play in exposing the currents keeping those in power discreet. Emily's pulse quickened. But how do we expose them? By making connections, he said, his eyes narrowing as if a light bulb had shifted somewhere in his mind. If you align with the right people, you can access documents, meetings, information that will bring the truths they want to bury into the light. The tension was palpable as they digested those pieces of information. Emily thought about her nonprofit's mission, how it all connected to her vision of change. But who would they trust in this maze of deceit? Every time you put your foot down, they'll retaliate, the man warned, snapping Emily out of her thoughts. You must be vigilant, always one step ahead. You have to fight for your ideas like they're your children. And be ready to run when necessary. Fear clawed at Emily's heart. What are you saying? We'll end up in danger? There's a price to pay for the truth, he said, sharper than before. I'll help you, but remember, there are eyes everywhere. Trust is a luxury. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the factory, a ruckus outside. Something was shifting. The once peaceful walls seemed to resonate with urgency, as if the factory itself was preparing for the inevitable storm. Time is running out, the man said, his tone growing serious. You need to move quickly. As he turned toward the door, Emily felt an instinctive pull to follow. Wait! She shouted, but he was already halfway out of sight. Gather evidence. Reach out to contacts before they close their circles, he called back, fading into the shadows. Build your team. The truth is your sword, but strategy is your shield. Wait. We still have questions. Alex yelled, but it was too late. The man disappeared, leaving an unsettling emptiness behind. What do we do now? Alex turned to her, the gravity of the situation dawning on both of them. Emily's heart was racing, but clarity was beginning to penetrate the fog. We can't let this go. We'll dig into our project's roots. We need to gather intel, reach out to trusted sources, maybe even some of the board members involved in funding. And we must stay on guard. We can't let ourselves be blindsided. Alex's determination was contagious, growing stronger by the second. We'll formulate a plan, and I'll stay by your side every step of the way. No matter what happens. She felt a swell of gratitude wash over her. They were in this together, ready to face adversity head-on. Let us do it, then. We owe it to ourselves, to everyone we're trying to help. As they made their way toward the exit, a new wave of determination washed over them. The shadows of uncertainty still loomed, yet they felt emboldened by the challenge ahead. Emerging from the darkness of the factory gave way to a cool, clear night. The starlit sky felt alive with possibilities, each twinkling light a beacon guiding their way. Are you ready? Alex asked, squeezing her hand just as she had done before, grounding her in the present. With a firm nod, Emily took a deep breath. More than ready. They stepped forward into the unknown, hearts tethered together in hope and the promise of change. The journey ahead would be filled with trials and revelations, but they were ready to rise to the challenge. Together. As their silhouettes blended with the night, a new mission unfurled before them. Change was on the horizon, and they would face it armed with the courage of their convictions. And in that moment of shared determination, the storm they had encountered forged a bond unbreakable, a partnership like no other, one that wasn't built on mere chance, but on purpose, truth, and the heart of a shared vision. Everyone else might watch from the sidelines, but Emily and Alex were ready to dive into the fray. They were not just participants in the game of life, they were its players. Now, it was their turn to rewrite the narrative. Want to be part of this journey? Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions to this intense ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to support the channel. Don't wait not even one more second.